He said, I actually like you. I was like, okay, I think that's good. And then I think the next day he called and they offered a contract.
Like for you to get into the fitness world, especially at your height, is something that's like, you know, something to be applauded for. So can you just give people a little insight into how you stumbled onto your first job and how you actually got signed with them?
Yeah. Okay. So in 2013, because I'm a photographer too.
Yeah.
So I like showing people how they can look awesome and like show them, look at like you were beautiful. And so when I started going on the other side of the camera, back in the days of Model Mayhem, doing, you know, TFP, trade for print. And I just worked with this photographer who was in San Pedro, and like he knew my angles, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of cool. Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, so maybe I could do this just for fun. So I was in college still, so I was just doing random modeling. It wasn't fitness.
Shout out to USC, by the way, right?
Woo, fight on.
Much love, Trojans. All right.
So we just started shooting whatever. It was just like free because he's an architectural photographer, and so him doing portraits and stuff was kind of new and just experiment for him. So we just like had this relationship where we just shoot randomly, and I just did that probably until 2015, 16. Then I left my like office job. And then I was like, okay, am I going to be homeless? What's happening? Nothing's coming in. So then I started getting into like vlogging and things, and I wanted to start just maybe getting into fitness modeling because the guy I was dating at the time, his dad was one of the most respected fitness photographers. And so that's when Train Like a Gymnast was born, and we did like an ebook.
Nice.
That cost like over $1,000 to make, and it sold like 3 copies. It's just really fun. But I have all those pictures from that. My hair was straight back then, and he kept telling me like, you could totally compete too if you just ate right, if you just did this, if you just like.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I was like, but I don't really care to. So I didn't. But then I was just saying that, okay, so I have the potential to fitness model and do this. So there was this agency that I won't name that I really wanted to be with. So I kept trying to push with them, but they kept saying, no, not now, blah, blah. And my friend from high school also is a graphic designer and a photographer. So I just shot with him just for another random shoot. And somehow, some way, his neighbor, or he knew someone who was like big at the headquarters of Lorna Jane and saw that shot or that shoot and was like, who's that?
No way.
And then, somehow connected that, and it got passed along. And then I ended up talking with, I don't remember what her position was at the time, but she was high up in the company, and she had worked for Disney before and everything. And she was like, yeah, we want to use you as the campaign model for, for our US campaign, because they're an Australian brand. So they were trying to, be well known here, but apparently a lot of people didn't know. I knew about them because they understand boobs. I'm wearing Lorna Jane now. And so I was like, okay, let's do this. And at that point I was trying to negotiate for myself.
Okay.
Like, what's your budget? What's your rate? Oh, we don't typically pay campaign models. I was like, that seems weird, but okay. So I got product in exchange for that. I was in all of the, I had it in the car. I was in all of the stores in US, on their wall and in the pamphlets and things. And
you didn't get paid?
Didn't get paid.
Whoa.
But
criminal.
I know that should have been like a $10,000 job, but I didn't know. So then when it was 2017, I was in a different relationship at this point, and I saw Wilhelmina Fitness Models was having a casting for like
open
fitness
call.
division, open call, and I was like, oh, I should go to this. And I was watching it very closely, and I was staying at my boyfriend's place that night, and then I saw something come up like rescheduled tomorrow, blah, 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 and he was like, you gotta go. So we like drove back, got all my to my place, got my clothes and everything, because I had work the next morning. I had to like make it work and figure out how to get to the office, because I had been in before. They're like, oh yeah, we'll send your stuff. Didn't hear anything. And then at this point I was gonna actually meet the fitness director, who is my agent now, and I go in. And, I'm wearing my highest heels. I don't think I showed up in fitness stuff. I think I showed up in normal people clothes. And, just like looking at everybody, and I'm sitting there on the couch, and we looked through my Lorna Jane thing. I brought all, my portfolio of what I had done. He's like, you got this by yourself? I said, yeah, I have a friend who did. Yeah. And it happened. He's like, oh, I actually like you. He said those words. And if he says he didn't say those words, yes, he did. He said, I actually like you. I was like, okay, I think that's good. And then I think the next day he called and they offered a contract and I signed for 3 years and it's been 3 years and we're still going.
That's awesome. That's super cool.
Long story short, connection, just word of mouth, execution, then use that execution for growth.